All right, it is 5:30. We'll go and call the meeting to order. If Cassie will do roll call.
William Beck.
Here.
Justin Coley.
Here.
Maddie Knudsen. Colleen Lautenbach.
Here.
Allison Finn. Shelby Poole.
Here.
Ashley Potasic. Carly Sherrill.
Here.
Joe Valentine.
Colleen, if you'll read the mission and vision.
Definitely. The mission of WLA is to utilize leadership-based programs, strategies grounded in solid research, and the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis for a rigorous overall educational program. The vision of WLA is to be a school where students become exceptional leaders and are prepared to navigate and shape their future.
And we decided the agenda is good. We don't need to add anything. Okay. So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor? Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed. Consent agenda items are as follows.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Approval of the June board meeting agenda. Any other conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Does anyone have conflict of interest this evening? We have no one in our audience. So we will skip to the board report. For all I really have is that elections are in the conversation later, but we have our election results and we will talk about that when we get to that part in the board. And then we made a decision to move the conversation about who wants to do what roles until next meeting when the rest of the board is able to be here. So that has been pushed back a month. I will turn it over to Jonas.
Yeah, we actually pushed a number of things that were on the agenda originally for tonight to next month. We tried to limit tonight to just what we had to get done tonight for timeline wise, since we're only 5 of 9 tonight. We were going to look at the parent survey results and discuss them, so we'll do that in July. We were going to have Sean Smith present about updates on construction and some of the things around delays, explain that a little bit better. He's going to do that in July now. So hopefully it'll be a little quicker. But as far as superintendent report, on the enrollment side of things, we ended the year a little over 180 higher than our previous estimate, so that was positive. You can see that actually even since we put the report together on Monday here, we've had about 10 more applicants for next year. We're getting some pretty big waiting lists at K through 5, and even 7th grade has a waiting list, and the grades that don't are very close. Even though a few of them without a waiting list are full, but if you get an applicant, there'll be a list. So we're looking very good in terms of enrollment, and we're well on track in terms of staffing. It looks like there's kind of a lot of positions there, but when you think about that, we're going to have 140 employees. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. And there was about 12 positions on here. We filled at least 2 of them this week already. We filled the lower school music and the school counselor position, and so a number of interviews for other positions today and through next week. So we're in good shape in terms of staffing, as good as we could hope to be at this point. A team of pretty much our whole administrative team went to the BOA conference last week in Bemidji. We were very pleased, as I've shared with you previously, that we were the only one of the 18 BOA schools to win what they call the Triple Crown, meaning we received the award for excellence in academic performance, in governance and management, and in finance. And so getting all 3 was a good accomplishment. Obviously being that none of the other 18 schools, and there's a lot of good schools in the VOA network, that tells you that it's not easy to do. And so very pleased with that. Colleen, you were on the BOA conference. It was your first time there.
Yeah.
Any takeaways from you that you want to share?
It was, I'm so excited to be a part of the admin team. I felt so invigorated. There were so many wonderful sessions, a lot of really positive mindset, growth mindset, leadership skills, and it was wonderful. A lot of it focused also on AI, and I sat in on one of those sessions, and that was really interesting. But just getting my footing and learning more about the charter schools in our state, it's wonderful. And to hear when people would see I was from WLA, they were like, wow, like we have a really wonderful reputation that precedes us in a positive way, and so that was really wonderful. Showing our pride, it was wonderful. It was really and beautiful too. It was great, and it was a wonderful team building experience for WLA's team as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And everything wrapped up well in terms of academics. We won't really be able to share specific results until August from the MCA, but as a whole, we're reasonably pleased with what we've seen. We'll know better when we see. We haven't really been able to see anything on the reading, so our internal testing tells us that we think our reading is going to do pretty well, but we'll have to wait and see if the results match that. I'd say our one big setback in the last month is in terms of the construction here. Everything's going very well in terms of being on track to complete the remodeling and redoing of our existing space for what we need to do to be ready to start in August. But we did have a delay on the addition. As you know, the addition plan is to be done in December to be able to move 7th grade over at winter break. We're still hopeful that we'll be able to move 7th grade over at winter break, that we'll be able to have 4 classrooms at least done so that we can do that. They're working on redoing all the timelines and making some plans to do double shifts and weekend shifts to make up some time. But the delay was the precast brick veneer that is part of the precast, which they can't do anything else. That's the next step in the process. That was to be delivered about a week and a half ago, and it came out of the kiln, what they did, and it didn't look like what they had sent us, and it didn't match closely enough our exterior where we would want to go with it, nor would the city of Woodbury be likely to approve it. So they have to go back and redo it all, and that's going to be a 5-week delay on that part. So they're kind of reworking the order of some things, going to do some things that earlier than they were going to do it, and try and come up with a new timeline to share in the next week or two. So we'll have a better update about that at the next meeting. But it's at least probably going to be, the completion's definitely going to be delayed. Whether we're going to be able to still move everybody right at winter break or not is still a question mark. They're still trying to come up with a plan to make that happen and to see if we can do that. So those are some pieces there. I don't know if Carly or Shelby will talk about this when they report in the superintendent committee, but one thing that kind of hit me when I was in a session with Colleen at VOA, and there were some really good ones this time, but this was one that I was kind of not getting as much out of and kind of started working on some other things in there. But as you remember, Brenda presented last month on our needs assessment, and she now has survey data, and her and I have met on that. But as we're thinking about what we want to do strategic plan-wise, one thing that's kind of hanging out there is long before I came, it was part of the strategic plan and the goal of the school to become a core knowledge school of distinction. There are 11 of them in the world. Only one of them is international. And so last year, not this past year, but my first year, I guess fall 24, we had the foundation come out and do a diagnostic and tell us some of the things we need to do to try and achieve that status. And we had some work to do with some of our newer teachers in terms of their full understanding and buy-in on the curriculum. And we needed to also show some more leadership kind of in the Twin Cities area and nationally around the whole core knowledge curriculum. And so we did some work at BOA, and this is what prompted my thinking a little bit in connecting with other core knowledge schools in the Twin Cities, and are working to put together kind of a network and maybe do a little bit of a conference where the teachers present to each other and we work together to do some of that leadership. But it occurred to me that we still, even with the diagnostic we did last year, don't have a really clear handle on what exactly we need to do to get over the top and make sure we get it when we do. And so I started doing some research on the other schools of distinction, and made a plan to try and go visit either 6 or 9 of them, of the 11 that are all Midwest or Western half of the United States, this fall, with the idea being to try and get a better understanding to bring back to our staff of what looks, sounds, feels different in the schools that are schools of distinction, if anything, and to also really try and connect with either leaders of the school or people that were, if the newer leaders, people that were involved when they achieved that status, and understand what steps they took that they felt like got them over the top with that. Because we either need to make a decision this year, is that gonna be our goal in our strategic plan moving forward? And if we do, it's time we get it done, right? And it's also much more realistic timing-wise now, because of course our lower school is ahead of our upper school in the process, since it's many more years in the works. Now that we will be technically 2 schools next year, K-6 lower school, 7-12 upper school, they're 2 separate schools with the state, much more likely to be able to get it than we would have as a K-8, right, as we had been. So even timing-wise, there's some reasons, both in terms of us getting more stability in staffing and having kind of hit our not as much growth over the next couple of years, and then the break in that piece. And so, anyways, that's something I'm exploring, looking at, and kind of share with the board the plan around that once I have it more tightly planned. And so that's coming too. So those are my updates.
The one question I have is, since the core knowledge curriculum goes until, is it 8th grade? Okay. Will that change the curriculum of 9 through 12 at all? Or are we just going to focus on being distinguished with the lower school?
Well, right now, lower school, but if it was upper school, it would only really be for 7th and 8th,
Okay.
because core knowledge is really a K-8 curriculum,
So-
right? So I don't even know, I think
Yeah.
that would be a separate discussion, even if we can,
That's
what that
right,
would
yeah.
look like. So, and it's also, your question though does tie into another big piece in discussing with Brenda as we start looking at the needs assessment and what to bring back to the board where we're going, is that in our mission statement, it talks about core knowledge, and it's a key piece of the goals here, and yet there is no core knowledge for 9-12. So how do we, what exactly is our identity? And I've done a lot of work on that, and something I've pushed off presenting month after month, because it always seems to get to, how many times have I had you have that on the,
Probably 3 times.
do a high school presentation, and so, and I don't know, with all, we're pushing back to July already, if that's July or August or what, but I have some directions I think we're going and want to share with the board. But that's a part of the strategic planning too. I was sharing that and making sure the board shares the, the ideas and the vision of where we think the high schools, the 9 through 12 is going.
Commissioner Weiss is with the demonstrated success of core knowledge curriculum as a basis.
As a
So
basis.
it's okay that it's.
Yeah, I don't think we need to change it. I don't think we need to change it, but I don't think we need to change it. I think the concepts behind it can apply to what we do in high school, but we don't have a core knowledge curriculum to draw.
Right.
And so, in some cases, a lot of the AP classes have been more traditional, although less so over time than they once were, but still grounded in that academic rigor. And so we're trying to get as many AP courses as we can into the mix in 9th and 10th grade, with 11th and 12th grade really trying to get kids to take as many college courses as they can. But that's for another presentation, so.
Do we have anyone from governance here?
Oh, I said I would present
Okay.
because. Are you in governance one?
No.
No.
It wasn't governance.
Joe, yeah, that's what I thought, Joe was, yeah, because nobody else is gonna be here from governance. And you're in finance, yeah, Yeah. yeah, so, oh geez, I forgot that I was gonna do that, so I didn't really prepare for that, so let's take a look here quick. Okay, so governance, we looked at policy 201 and 722 into first reading, and 201 being the legal status of the board of directors. And so this is, we looked at it last month, made amendments to it, never did read it into policy, but it's one of the ones that's a good idea to have, and it's pretty standard, but it does say, just kind of lay out the role of the board, and power and duties, the structure, and so on and so forth. And so that one entering into first reading, policy 201, and then 722 is really what we had in here was just, we had the form for it, but this didn't have the whole policy piece, and so this lays out, it's all what we need to do by law, basically, anyways, what's in the policy. So there's not a lot to really dig through right there, because it's all kind of mandated by law. But we do need to have that and follow that. And then, and then into a vote, in this case, for the policies we've looked at before. 404 employment background checks, we talked about that in previous meeting, and you just hold off 1 month in case anything comes up before we vote on it, so we'd vote to do that. The only significant change there, we took some things out that, and struck them out, we talked about them already, and that we've gone to a minimum of every 3 years after. Initially, you do a background check when you're hired, and then a minimum of every 3 years. We can do more often if we choose, but instead of the policy saying we do it every year, which is very cumbersome and much more than most schools do, just doing it that way. The chemical use and abuse policy, we revised it in May and reviewed it at the last meeting. I think that was all set with the changes being in red, that just lay out more specific consequences for a number of offenses at the upper school. Well, hopefully only at the upper school, that we'd have that issue, if at all. And then the violence prevention policy. So, again, we talked about this last meeting, I believe, as well as we talked about the unpaid meal charge last meeting and how it doesn't really even apply to us, but we're required to have it by law or for approval of our program. So we adopted one that matched in other schools, made sure there was no problems with it for us. And then the big one, that's the change that we're adopting, is the student dress and appearance. We went through this last month. Did we make the change in here?
Mm-hmm.
So everything that we did last month, we just left it here for final approval. And then,
The only difference would be that the Crocs are still on there, and after Nicole Scheidler and Cassie Smith left, some board members mentioned wanting that gone, so we need to
yeah, and I think
make a decision.
I think the admin team felt like leaving.
Or do we just cross off the Crocs are allowed part, because Crocs have sandals too, which wouldn't be allowed, and the closed-toed, fine, that fits in the closed-toed definition, so we don't specify Crocs either way?
That gives us more flexibility. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it for me.
So if they wear sandals and say it's Crocs, well, Crocs are allowed.
Yeah. I actually think we take the Crocs off. Are you able to go in and adjust that?
Yeah.
Does everybody else okay
Yes.
with that?
Yeah.
With the understanding that, so parent that kind of wanted, it's shared a letter that I forwarded to, with you, talking about some sensory things.
Mhm.
And so with discussion we had internally at the board that I shared at governance was that if a student has something in an IEP or 504 plan, we're required to follow it anyways. And so if there's a situation where a student really needed something and they didn't have an IEP or 504, we could work to get them a 504 to get it. And that way we can still make the exceptions for the occasional kid who needs it, but make it where we're making sure it's real and taking those extra steps so that doesn't spread too far.
Yeah.
And so, that would be a legal accommodation if a student really needs his IP, or we get a doctor note saying they have sensory issues, and we can make a 504 that, whole 504 might be just allow them to wear that. That might be the whole document. But, so I think it's good to keep it where the policy is no, and kind of with the Crocs too. But then.
Policy is no Crocs, or policy is just eliminate the Crocs and it's the closed-toed ones are okay and the.
I actually think eliminate the Crocs. That's what some board members felt strongly about last month.
They did.
I think, Colleen, I think you felt strongly about
Yes,
that.
Yeah.
Um,
I know a majority of teachers feel the same way too.
Yeah.
I don't know a teacher that wants to keep that.
So you wanted to say no Crocs or?
Yeah.
No Crocs,
So-
specify
so-
no Crocs.
So if we can cross that up, so maybe the motion would be to adopt all these policies, but with 540, somebody will make the motion, the one.
Can I bring up one
the
last
one-
thing about it?
Yes.
Or is discussion after?
No.
The parent Facebook group and PTO uniform sale, the impression is no cargo pants. Doesn't specify here. Do we want to add cargo pants under the no list for bottoms? Is that, or do you guys, what are the thoughts for the school? I guess I don't know if that's an incorrect assumption and that'd be fine, or do we want them to look more professional and say no cargo pants? What are thoughts?
Do we see many cargo pants? Have I seen them?
There were people posting pictures on the parent page
Rarely.
and they're like, just no cargo pants, those
Yeah.
are fine type of thing,
Yeah.
but
So,
since
yes.
it's not, since it doesn't say it, I want.
Let's add that too.
Okay.
Okay.
So put that in the amendment to the document here.
So
Uh,
no cargo?
Yeah, and then Kathy, if you can help with, while this is fresh in the head, taking all the red out of here and getting those two changes and sending to the whole admin team, so we have the right document to put in the handbooks and everything we're starting to work on. So we make sure we get information consistent. And then it also can be in something that you can work with Nicole to have sent out to all the families.
Okay.
But she had something ready to go after we
She
approved it
did.
tonight.
Yeah, she did.
But I think you might want to make sure we get, these two pieces are reflected whenever we send out too.
I'd make sure the black is off
And that the no black.
on the final copy.
Yeah. Good. So, that's all of that. I think someone would need to make a motion.
I can make a motion to approve the June Governance Committee report, entering policies 201 and 722 into the first reading, entering policy 404, 417, 525, 534, and 540 as amended this evening into second reading.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Summarize it all.
Did we just completely skip you?
I was gonna say, we skipped finance or was I skipping?
It's like,
I assume you
vote.
just, like, you wanted to continue with the conversation, that's all good.
All right, well, we're gonna jump back
Yeah.
up to the financials.
I put in bold letters right at there that WLA is in really good financial standing, which is kind of the consensus of our meeting earlier this week. We talked about the budget, which I believe it's gonna be next month, going over it.
No, it's tonight.
We have to-
It's
We
tonight,
have to approve
okay.
tonight, yeah.
Okay, so,
For
just some
the
highlights.
revision of this year's budget,
Yeah,
that, for the fiscal year that ends in 2 weeks,
yes,
we have to do the final revision tonight. Probably in August, we will look at revising and reviewing the FY '27.
Yes. And so this is just some, for 27. A couple things that were some notes that I wanted to write down was the increase of state aid revenue. And that's a majority due to our growing student population. We're having so many more students arrive that we have that. And then with our special education changes that are going to be made. So there's more money there for that. Some expenditures, there's salary and benefits. It's increased by over $200,000. And that's largely because of our additional staff members, and then also the Paid Family Medical Leave Act insurance from the state of Minnesota. So there's some highlights.
And can I also add with that, Nicole?
Yeah.
Under the benefits, that's a really difficult one to project accurately when you make your budget, because it all depends on how many of the employees elect to take the insurance and how many take single and family, and all you can use is previous year percentages. And it can be different, and I think partially because we've been able, with the salary changes we've made, we've been able to hire a little bit more experienced people, where not everybody's brand new, but then there's more with family insurance that's a little bit more expensive coming in, and so we undershot that one a little bit last year.
All revenues in food service come from state and federal reimbursement, something that I wanted to highlight. We talked about our custodial bids that are going to be changing, but there's also a bid for Building C, so we're waiting on that to talk about.
For it to be finalized.
To be finalized.
I mean, I think it's okay to say that,
Okay.
you know, we've been working with someone who has a company who also is our day custodian for a number of years that does an amazing job. And the reality is that, you know, every 3 years you really should be going out for bids, and his was just way more than other options, and some other options that worked with before that do a good job. I mean, they do an exceptional job, but the difference was at such a point that the committee felt like we just couldn't justify paying $50,000, $60,000 more for the same service. And we gave an opportunity for them to come down, and we wouldn't, so we had to make the change. But the exact details of the new contract are still being negotiated. We accepted their bid for over there, but we're looking to see if they're gonna they made a bid to try and combine it with over here, which we still have to look at combining before we have a contract to approve next month. So that's what's the only piece in place still.
One other, or two other things. We're going to keep our marketing on par with previous years because we still do want to focus on future kindergarten families. And I have that the waitlist is at 119, but it might have changed after you mentioned we got a couple more on our wait list. But just knowing that we do have many potential students that will likely join us in August. Yep.
Good job.
Regarding that family medical leave, have you guys decided what's happening? Is the school gonna pay the full thing again? Is the portion gonna be passed on to staff, or?
Well, so the piece of it is that what we committed to, that is on the calendar year instead of our fiscal year. So that's not a decision we have to make until October, November type thing.
And is that when the current, like, short-term disability packages, et cetera, expires too?
Yes, actually. So we can look at that all together in the fall. And I believe within that we used kind of the rate that we have right now, which it could go, I'm anticipating it would go up significantly for the second half of next year, just based on anecdotal evidence of how many people are taking these leaves and using them. I could be totally wrong about that, but, and so it might be that if we go to what most people have done and split the cost with the employees, that might be what we need to do to just keep it with what's in the budget, and not have it go over the budget.
Well,
But-
staff wouldn't be paying for their separate short-term disability policy either, so it's like swap. I don't know how it compares, but it
Yeah.
wouldn't be paying for both, so I think that's good.
Yeah, Yeah, well, we cover that piece, but I always feel like, I mean, part of the discussion is what's more beneficial for staff, to put the extra dollars into salary or put it into the benefits. And like, if we put this much into, I could say, okay, instead of doing the $4,000 raises next year, we're gonna do 3,700 or 3,800 and cover this. And it really depends on where you're at in your career, what's more beneficial. In long-term, I think what's best in long-term for staff is to put it into salary, not the benefit, because then when you do a 2% increase, that increase the compounding aspect, and that your retirement is based on all of that. And so I'd say, but, you know, in the short term for employees, financially, they come back better if we cover the benefit, because it's not taxed, right? So this, in the end, it's not that, I mean, much money, that much difference overall. It's you know, $5 or $10 a check type thing, but that can be a big deal, you know, too. So I don't want to minimize it. So that's a discussion we need to have in October, September, October, when we have to make the decisions on renewing our other things, and we have to submit that information to the state. I could be swayed either way on it, but if,
We'll have to see what area schools are doing.
yeah. That, I ultimately think for some employees, it probably comes up better to do it one way, and other employees, it comes up better to do it the other way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of,
Yeah.
unless we're saying we're gonna put more into salary and benefits than what's in the budget and do both, right? Which we could evaluate where our budget is next year, and if that's a financially prudent decision to make as a school or not, too, once we have more information in October, you know, when we have to make that decision, so.
Shelby, what does your school do?
That's a great question. I have no idea.
Okay. And then what do your businesses do? Do you know?
I pay the max that they can make me pay.
Yeah,
My-
same here.
As
Okay.
far as
Yeah,
I,
we split it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
you split it too?
Yeah. Yeah.
My assumption, and again, this is anecdotal, not based on hard data, but my assumption is far more split it than cover it for the employees. And I think in some ways that makes sense too, because if the employees don't have some skin in the game with the cost, then we're gonna use it. I mean, if you're doing what's in your best interest, which everybody, for the most part, does, you would assume,
Yeah.
you're gonna use that whenever you can. But if at least there's the piece where we know this is causing it to cause people overusing it is causing the cost to go up for everybody so much. At least there's some skin in the game and some pressure from other
Right.
colleagues to not. That would be another way to look at it. But again, I think it's a small enough amount of money right now. The question is it going to stay as small, or is the cost going to balloon on this thing? And it is a really big deal with our budget for both employees and the school,
Right.
right? And that's what we don't know.
Yeah.
Do we vote?
Nope. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the May financial and supplemental report and June finance committee report.
Second.
It's been a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Turn it over to Carly for the superintendent committee report.
So we met Monday, and had added to our agenda about thinning out tonight's agenda. So that's why we've got some thinner agenda tonight. We reviewed the printed version of Jonas's Consular Act to make sure it matched what was discussed at a previous closed session, and made sure dates were right and everything looks good. And as Jonas alluded to, his proposal to visit 9 of the 11 core knowledge schools of distinction next fall. We looked at a potential plan for dates and clustering schools to visit. It's nice that there are clusters.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not one all over the place.
Right.
So that's convenient for this type of a trip to meet, for him to meet with school leaders and ask how they got out over the final hurdles to certification and things like that, which could be quite beneficial.
And like I told these guys too, what could come out of it is I come back and say, here's some reasons we maybe want to say we're not gonna do this, right?
Right.
I mean, we could, part of it is to reaffirm even that we want to do and do what it takes to do it. We need to make a decision and either do it or not. So that's, I feel like I don't have enough information to make a recommendation right now.
Yeah.
And we can still live the curriculum without becoming a school of distinction too.
Yes.
So it's not like it would totally scratch out what we're doing. So that would come out of the travel and conferences budget line. So the money's already there. It's just how we spend that money as a school. So I think that would be worthwhile to decide which way we go. Just discuss the strategic plan, which he kind of touched on during the superintendent's report. Talked about the construction delays as well. And as far as keeping track of Jonas's goals and progress toward them, we're putting them on every superintendent support committee meeting agenda, and he has linked them to the bottom of his superintendent report that is in every board meeting, so eyes can be on those each
And
month.
part of the purpose there is that I'm gonna try and make sure I'm talking specifically about at least one of these three goals in each superintendent report moving forward. And look at how to restructure the superintendent report so that, hey, by the time you're doing my evaluation next June, I've talked about each of these three goals and what we're doing in them at least 3 times in each in board meetings. So.
And that's all. We'll meet in September next time. Any questions?
Next on the agenda is the board self-evaluations. If everyone clicks that link, you can then make a copy for yourself. Go to File, make a copy, and just name it with your name.
Do I have to request edit access, or why won't mine let me?
No, if you make a copy, then you should be able to edit the copy.
Make a copy's great.
Can you
Tech
want
challenge,
us make a
sorry.
copy?
Yeah, I can.
Let me make a copy for you, Carly, and I'll share it with you.
Thank you.
Sometimes iPads are funky. That's just what I.
But yours let you, oh, maybe.
Yeah, it seemed to work
I got
Yours-
different.
Apple or
Yeah.
Android?
Yeah.
This is an Android one.
Mine is too.
And we'll just set a timer for 5 minutes and let everyone kind of read through and fill that out, and then we can discuss our answers at the end. So. And then did you get the 2 that I shared with you? Okay. And this is just your own personal performance, not the performance of the board in general.
Would we just highlight?
Yeah,
the
you can just
number
highlight
that-
them, yeah.
Okay.
This is something that we do, this is evaluated by the VOA. It's one of the things in our evaluation from Volunteers of America that we're scored in and all those things.
Okay.
And like that governance and management award, we did get 2 out of 2 points in doing this.
these to you, or?
I think we just send them to Cassie so she has them on file.
Okay.
Don't worry, I don't want to, because then I just put them in the folder.
So send them to you now?
Yeah, whenever
Okay.
you're done, yeah.
Okay.
I suppose I could have made the consent agenda just an action. Just look at
Everybody done?
Mhm.
Shut my timer off. I can start. Typically, we just share like something we feel is a strength or something we feel is an area of weakness, so that we can kind of support each other through whatever we may feel are our weaknesses. For strengths, I think I was on governance when I started, and so I think I've read every single policy that exists at WLA, but I also feel like just as a board, like they're brought to us every month on such a regular schedule that like we're all exposed to them every month. And so I feel like as a board, not just myself, but like we are really good with reviewing policies and making sure that they're accurate and timely and up to date and all of those things. For my weakness, I put number 6. I gave myself a 2, completing assignments and responsibilities in a responsible and timely manner. Just as I have gotten on more responsibilities at my job, it's become harder to feel like I'm giving everything to this position, which is why Carly's going to take over next month. And I will be excited to support her, but not have to be the one that I feel like I try to check my email every day just to make sure I don't miss anything and all of those things. So that was my 2. Anyone else want to share?
I can share. I think a strength is that I come prepared. I do read every line of those finance reports and things like that. And then a weakness, I put you're knowledgeable about the policies. I read them. Yes, there are a lot. There's a lot of wordiness that is necessary because laws, yay. So, grasp what I can, and I'm sure I missed some things too for as far as long-term memory.
One of the strengths I think the board has is number 3. I put a 4 just because I think everybody is generally respectful of each other, and once a decision's made, we kind of go with it. I put number 7 for myself just because I'm kind of on the outside of things, so it's hard for me to know like what's going on and all that, but I'm trying to do better.
I guess for one of my weaknesses, I also was around the policies, number 4. I also still feel like I'm trying to get just a handle on being on the board, and policies are not my strong suit anyways, but it's something I definitely could focus more on so that I'm just familiar with all of the policies and have, some grasp of them. So I had number 1 as a strength and believe in being an active advocate for the values, missions, and vision. I mean, that's why I wanted to be on the board anyways, and I feel like everyone on the board, at least in my experience so far, does a great job in all of that. So I feel like in that regard, it's a really cohesive, group of minds that are helping make decisions to guide the school, so.
Yeah. I'll bounce off that because I put strength of mine as number one, believing in our mission, being an advocate for the values. I feel like even outside of my work, I live and breathe our mission, and I hope everyone can see me as a true proponent of everything that our school stands for. When I'm at trivia with my friends, I talk about how amazing our school is and everything we do. I mean, it's in my heart and my spirit. I'm so critical of myself for not a super high grade, but something to work on, which is very true. I kind of aligned with you, Shelby. Number 6. It's absolutely no excuse, but there's so many balls up in our air. We're juggling so much, and to be on the finance committee meeting, I'm like, okay, by the 1st of the month, I'm going to send out the Google Meet to everybody, and by the time it's the 4th, I'm like, I have got to get on it. Oh, I will get better. We're all works in progress, but that's something that I'm working on.
So when I'm listening to everybody, I agree with everything everybody said, but I'm trying to think about, we have a high performing board. I feel incredibly blessed. Really, for people in the role I have, having a board that you work well with is, in terms of how you feel about your job and your stress level with your job and your ability to be effective is such a big deal, right? And so I feel incredibly blessed. I'm just trying to think about, obviously BOA agrees, being we got the governance and management, recognition last week. I just wonder is there an area that either as a board, and I include myself as not what's it called, ex officio member or something of the board, in this, that we should work on, or if not work on, be careful doesn't slip, that could easily slip. Part of the reason to do this is just reflect and say, okay, what needs our attention? And I'll be honest, nothing's jumping off the page to me, but I'm just wondering if in this group, is there something that we think we as a board within our interactions should be focused on the next year, before we have this discussion a year from now.
It was previously mentioned that the monthly service learning projects used to have a little something in the board packets. I think that might help, William and community members to feel like they more understand what's going on at the school. So adding those back in during the
That'd be great.
school months.
That's a great idea.
Totally.
And on top of that, is it possible to add me to the Parent Square thing? Or is there a way for me to sign up for that? Just so I get emails and.
Like the events.
Right.
social events.
Yeah, I can check in with Nicole on how of adding you, so you can at least kind of just get some communication.
Right.
Me, I'll chat with you about that.
I'm sending this to the admin team for discussion right now. That's what I'm doing.
Moving on. I'll make a motion to approve the May 21st, 2026 board meeting minutes. No, we don't need to do that. We did that in the last one, right?
We have to do
Oh, that was
all
true.
both, because that's
Got it. Okay.
not bad.
So I'll make a motion to approve the May 21st board. I shouldn't make that motion. I wasn't here, so I'll let someone else make that motion.
I'll make the motion to approve May 21st, 2026 board meeting minutes.
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Do we need to do a roll call, or can we just?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think just because it's on there. William Peck,
Yes.
Justin Colley,
Yes.
Clay Lautenbach,
Yes.
Shelby Poole,
I'll abstain.
Carly Sherrill.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. the election results. So William has won the election for his seat, so he gets to stay. Carly won the election for her seat, so she gets to stay. What's the gal's name?
Melissa Cocazel, she's a kindergarten teacher.
She won the teacher board seat. Allison chose not to run. So this would have been her last meeting this evening. So I did send her an email and thanked her for her service on the board. And then Colleen will have to step down at the end of, before the next board meeting, because her role will change and that contract will go into effect July 1st. So we are going to offer the second teacher seat to
Sarah Chaston.
Sarah, who received the second amount of votes in the teacher election. So,
And Melissa Cocazel, she's also a parent too, which is kind of unique.
Is that
Yeah.
allowed?
Yes, as long as she's a teacher in the building, she can serve in the teacher role.
She couldn't be in the parent.
But
She
Okay.
can't serve in the parent
She
role.
can't serve in the parent role.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yep. All right, so I will make a motion to approve the election results.
Second.
It's been a motion and lots of seconds. Any other conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The real reason that we had to meet tonight is because we do need to approve our revised budget.
Yeah. So, bottom line is things tracked really close. Some individual lines move thousands of dollars here and there, but not huge percentages. Overall, the only thing that was significantly over was the benefits, for the reasons we talked about. But we're actually under in salaries, with having had some of the positions we had not filled for part of the year, balancing that and another number of other areas. And so the decision we made, we're projecting being over by more than we need to be for the year, more of a surplus than we need to. And we tried to figure out what a conservative number was, and we came up with, we thought $55,000, and working with Dustin, that we added to our technology budget for the current year to order new Chromebooks for next year, but to reduce that expense on next year's budget. So that technology budget line, we were waiting to see how, you have all the information how it was tracking before we did that. So now we'll be able to reduce the technology budget for next year by that amount in the FY27 budget. Or at least roughly that amount. So that was the decision, and that's kind of typically what we do. It's kind of a weird thing, but once the money, we have to be a certain amount in the positive each year to add to our fund balance, to meet our covenants with the bonds holders for financing. But any amount over that goes into fund balance, you kind of can't spend because you have to be in surplus again in the next year, right? So you don't want to be too much over.
Right.
But the thing we're kind of getting into now is, the one thing we are kind of getting into is that to get the highest score for your percentage, you need a 20% fund balance, right, for the VOA, the finance piece. And so we were at 27% a year ago. We'll end up this year about $200,000 in the positive, but because our budget got so much bigger, $200,000 is a lot less than 20% of the increase to our budget.
Right.
And so our fund balance is gonna go down to just over 20% this year, which is still the highest rating. But that trend continues next year. We'll do everything in your covenants. We'll add to our fund balance. That's really healthy. But now we'll fall under 20% next year. Which means we'll get 1 out of 2 in that category instead of 2 out of 2. And it's just because we're numbers increasing so fast.
Yeah.
So, and we all agree, all of the creative planning and Dustin agree we're in a very, even if we fall below 20%, we're in a very healthy position right now. So that's the That's the reality. But we would have to, since our budget's gonna increase by about another $3 million next year, 20% of 3 million is 600,000. So we'd have to be $600,000 in the positive next year to keep that 20% fund balance. But overall, yeah, that's really the only major change and significant piece, which is positive, so. Everything else tracked pretty close.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year 26 proposed revised budget.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We need to approve the revised school calendar for 26-27.
Okay, if everyone can open that, I can kind of quickly summarize. We discussed this last month and just finalized some of the things we discussed after reviewing. Really, there's three significant changes to the calendar. One is that in the previous version, on January 3rd was a teacher preparation day. In January, Monday the 4th was a teacher
Yeah.
preparation
Yeah.
day. Talking to a number of teachers, they all agreed that it would benefit them more to have a day off in May when there's such a long stretch with fewer days. So that we've changed January 4th for May 14th as a no school day. Just that one's one. That's one. Two, we put into the calendar the change we made for this spring, to have kindergarten's last day be a day before the other grades. That was not in the first version of the calendar. That change is made, so June 8th is the last day for kindergarten. The third change we made is tied to what we talked about last month, which was extending the school day for grade 7 and up by 5 minutes on each side to add 10 minutes to the day, and then taking out the flex days, so that now K-12, well, other than kindergarten ending a day early and kindergarten first and second having the testing the first 2 days instead of class, the calendar the rest of the year is exactly the same. And that gets us, after we tightened it up and reviewed everything, to 1,037 hours. And so that gives us 2 full days of cushion for grade 7 and up for snow days. More than that for the grades lower. And with the school days being 6.5 hours roughly, we'd be about 2.5 hours short if we had a third snow day. We would have to, if we have 3 snow days next year, then we'll have to find a way in the spring to add 2.5 hours to our calendar for grade 7 and up, if we got to 3. But it gives us at least 2 days, full day special.
We had, what, 1 snow day this past winter?
Yeah. There have been winters where we've got to 3, but.
I think that was
but-
2 years ago.
But it's an outlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, those are outliers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so let's cross that bridge and we can, maybe we do a half-day flex day on that May 14th if we had
We have
grade
it as
7 and up.
June
June
10th.
10th was our reserved half day for something.
Oh, yeah. That's right, we already did that, that's right.
Does busing know about that day?
Oh, the agenda.
At the meeting? I don't know if they need to know sooner or later, whatever.
Yeah. So, that's right, that's what we did. So we have a plan even if we need to get a few more hours, so. But yes, that would cost a little bit of money busing wise.
You also have those 5 built-in e-learning days.
No, we took those out.
No, but I'm saying, like, you don't have to declare, you can use them, like, instead of a snow day, say
Oh.
we're declaring an e-learning day for grades
Oh.
7 through 11.
If they bring tech home.
Like, K-6 has that's what we do. K-6 has a snow day, grades 7 and 11, you have an e-learning day, jump on your Google Classroom, submit 3
Got it.
assignments.
Got it.
Check.
Good, yeah, that's what we'll do.
So,
We're in good shape.
Do that May 14th, right? Since they don't, or do they regularly bring home? No, they don't regularly bring home.
The hard part about doing it snow days is we're trying to not have them bring them home.
For sure. Like, we only do it as a last resort, like when we,
Right. But I mean,
last year.
but if it's a snow day and they didn't know, they wouldn't have their devices at home. So
Yeah.
they have to do it the 14th, you know?
48 hours.
Yeah.
There's lots of loopholes you can get through.
All right, we'll consult you.
Yeah, if you get to the third snow day, give me a call and I'll give you the cheat codes.
Okay, that's what we do. Those are the 3 changes up to the calendar that are being made.
Sounds great. Can whomever has editing power make June 8th blue to match?
I
the-
knew you were gonna say that. Because I was thinking the same thing, and if I was thinking it, I knew you were. I think the concern was that people would just look at the blue and not the writing, and
Yeah.
then think that they don't have school. And
Maybe make it a different color.
Well, the red are the no school days.
I don't have it, I can tell Nicole.
And the blue are different
Make
for
it purple.
September 8th and 10th. It'll be okay.
Another thing, the last day for those older kids usually is a half a day. Are we
Should
giving
put
that
that
out?
out.
It's a full day. It's a full day, okay, just wanna make sure. Okay,
Cause now it's,
Full day
all-
Wednesday, not here Thursday.
got it, yeah.
Yeah, because,
Yeah.
because it's the same day, the half day is just taken out.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure.
Isn't that nice?
Yes.
It must be hard for them to be here an extra half day.
It's a fun day for them though.
It is, yeah,
Right.
it's all
Yeah,
fun stuff.
yeah.
It's
not
It's a fun
one
day,
day,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a celebration.
Yeah.
So,
Well, since Jonas can't motion, I will motion to approve the revised school calendar for 26-27.
Second.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. The wonderful Education Identity and Access Management Board resolution that we have to do on a yearly basis to designate our IOWA something. Yeah.
the individual with authority.
Do I have to
So
read this
you
word for
designate
word?
one person, me, and I then give access to anybody that needs it, access to whichever apps for the state they need to do reports for the state with us. Cassidy gets ones around the food lunches
Mars.
and around submitting the enrollment. Nicole Link gets access, I give access to do the entering the teacher information for the staff report to the state. I give access today to the assistant principals to enter our suspensions into the suspension system. So you get one person, and then I give access to whoever needs whatever. So you're authorizing me to be that one person, and it has to be updated every year.
Do I have to read this word for word? I don't remember.
You're supposed to.
Yeah. All right. Education Identity and Access Management Board Resolution. The Minnesota Department of Education Professional Educator Licensing Standards Board and Office of Higher Education require annual delegation of an identified official with authority. For each local educational agency that uses the Education Identity and Access Management System, the Iowa is responsible for authorizing, reviewing, and recertifying user access for their local educational agency in accordance with the state of Minnesota. Enterprise Identity and Access Management Standard, which states that all user access rights to Minnesota state systems must be reviewed and recertified at least annually. The IOWA will authorize the user access to state of Minnesota education secure systems in accordance with the user's assigned job duties and will revoke that user's access when it is no longer needed to perform their job duties. Your school board or equivalent governing board must designate an IOWA to authorize user access to the state of Minnesota education secure websites for your organization. The EDIAM board resolution must be completed and submitted to the Minnesota Department of Education annually, as well as any time there is a change in the assignment of the identified official with authority. It is strongly recommended that only one person at the local educational agency or organization is designated as the IOWA. The IOWA will grant the IOWA proxy roles. So I would make a motion to appoint Jonas as our individual identified official with authority on behalf of Woodbury Leadership Academy.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Do you have that printed that I can sign tonight? Beautiful.
Alright, that's fine.
All right. As discussed in our election results, we will be seating a new member next month. Help me with the name again, because I can't
Sarah
remember.
Simpson.
Oh, that one's the one I can pronounce, the other one I can't. We will appoint Sarah Jocelyn to the open teacher seat at the next board meeting. And then I believe at the next meeting, we have to,
Or we appoint now and they get seated next month.
Yeah, we'll point now, and then she'll get seated, Miss Kay will get seated.
because we don't have to appoint them
Yeah.
per se.
Right.
So we just have to do the Wednesday. Okay. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to appoint the open teacher seat at the July, to be seated at the July meeting. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Now we kick Jonas out so we can talk about him.
Yes, do that.
Is there anything you need, are you leaving or are you gonna come back in?
I can see it. Yeah. I mean, do you want me to stay?
No.
For some reason?
What were we gonna ask them before you leave
notary,
though?
we should make someone at our school a notary, because like the board members actually, we need a notary.
We're supposed to notarize that oath every time?
Oh, how do we do that?
So I would look it up, it's easy application, so I can do
Voluntary?
it if you want,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cassie's gonna get notarized.
Good,
That's
good.
exciting.
Um,
Okay, I'll work on that.
Thank you. Kathy, I don't think this room's gonna be used in the next month.
Okay, just leave it.
So as long as we lock it, so I think you guys would decide for next month meeting.
Cool, sounds good.
Thank you.
See ya.
Make the motion and then I'll shut this down.
All right, I will make a motion to go to closed session per Minnesota statute 13D03 subdivision 3A.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further conversation? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Second.
A motion and a second to end the closed meeting and return to open meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. We're good?
Yeah,
We
just
got
gonna
this?
summarize, I guess, what you did during.
Next meeting.
Our next regular board meeting will be held here on Thursday, July 16th at 5:30 PM.
Just an FYI for the board, I will unfortunately be on the next two board meetings. I don't know how that happened. So I'll be able to do everything for the board, and then I have someone who will set up the board meeting in July.
Okay.
So, sorry.
And then the treasurer will take notes.
Yes, yeah, so we'll have secretary. Or
Secretary.
treasurer, I suppose. Otherwise, these are recorded, so I'll just
Perfect.
rewatch it. I'll just rewatch it, so it's okay.
You're not gonna watch us live from wherever you are?
No, I'm gonna be in Nashville for one.
Woo!
Dallas for the other, so.
Nice, well, enjoy.
Yes.
You deserve
I did not
it.
realize the dates, so.
All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
There's been a-